The spring and the fall, two beautiful seasons to fish for steelhead trout. We're going to take you along, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night. Time to think fishing on Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you of the beauty in this state of Michigan.
Small boats. They line the steelhead rivers in Michigan in the fall and in the spring. Our Michigan Outdoors party of Bob Garner, Jeff Pierce, and John Olson are fishing with patriarch charter captain Emil Dean aboard his jet-powered riverboat. Back in the 70s, when Emil fished the St. Joe River, he and a fellow charter captain named Joe Kimmerly designed this style of riverboat, aluminum construction with a water jet engine. Now, jet engines really aren't popular on fishing boats. They're not that easy to control. They gobble gas, but Emil found that on a river, especially a good steelhead river full of snags and rocks, a jet boat is a lifesaver because it doesn't have a propeller that jets down in the water. That means it can skim over logs and sandbars. All it needs is a few inches of water, and it makes it with no damages. That's what makes Emil's design so good on the river. The Manistee River is where Emil spends his winters fishing nearly every day. From the fall right through to the spring, when the salmon start hitting in the Great Lakes, Emil catches steelhead trout from this river. Now, you don't find the trout just anywhere. Emil has learned over the years where they're concentrated. He knows where the deep holes lie that hold the trout and the undercut banks. Now, these are the areas that he goes right to and fishes. He likes to get up early so he can fish from daylight until the time that Consumers Power releases water over the turbines at Tippy Dam just upstream. Now, that rush of water late in the morning raises the height of the Manistee by several feet, and naturally that changes the fishing. Now, the water hasn't risen yet, and Emil drops the anchor 20 yards upstream from a deep hole that he says always holds fish. Here's one of Emil's favorite lures. He likes lures like the Hottentot, with big lips that cause the lure to dive deep and zigzag back and forth in the current. Emil's famed technique is called the drop-back method. Now, you don't cast to the steelhead and you don't troll. You anchor above their holes, use Dacron line that doesn't stretch, drop the lure back in the current, a foot at a time. Hold it for 10 or 15 seconds and drop it back another foot or two. When you're through the hole, reel the lure back in and start over. Instead of scaring the fish, this small boat seemed to trigger a strike.
Oh, the little one.
With a steelhead on, the other anglers pull in their lines so the fish won't get tangled. Just when it looks like a steelhead is coming easily to the net, you find that it has other ideas. This is why Emil has everyone pull their lines when the fish is on. In the river, in the current, the fish dodge back and forth like a kite in the wind, and you frequently see it flash in the current. As it gets closer to the net, a lot of times it breaks the surface, and you can see how big and powerful a steelhead trout can be.
Hey, wait, he's going over that way, though.
Okay, bring him around this side and go this way.
Okay. Just about get him.
Oh, I hate it when they do that. Pull him right towards me if you can, though.
All right. Whoa! How about that?
Emil netted the fish and saved his hat all in one swoop. Now, this was an important steelhead for Jeff Pierce. He had been steelheading several times over the years, fishing from shore, and he had never caught one. He began to wonder if he was jinxed at steelheading, But Emil Dean broke the spell. We told Emil this was particularly important because Jeff just happens to be the advertising manager for Auto Owners Insurance. And Jeff loves to fish. So besides the steelhead, Emil broke out his best Manistee River hospitality. On the kerosene heater in the cabin of the riverboat, a pot of fresh steelhead chowder had been simmering. This was a recipe we featured on Michigan Outdoors several years ago. It was in our 1986 Fish and Wild Game Classics cookbook. We call it Emil's Fish Chowder. It contains evaporated milk, and oh, is it tasty. You know, this is a way to get a lot more enjoyment out of a hunting or fishing trip. Take some good warm food along, especially if it's a fish or game recipe you cooked yourself at home. There's lots of things you can make ahead and heat up on a boat or in the woods or on the tailgate of a truck. Nothing against taking a midday break and driving to a local restaurant. Now, that can be fun when you're up north, but as long as you can stay warm outdoors, consider making a project out of lunch. I tell you, food never tastes better than when you're outdoors. You can leave the rods in the holders with the line out. Every now and then you catch a fish during lunch. That didn't happen today, but there were no complaints. With a nice steelhead already in the cooler and a hot bowl of Emil's steelhead chowder in hand, there was no need to warm up in the heated cabin of the riverboat. After lunch, back down the river to try out some of the holes they passed up on their way upstream in the morning. Well, the steelhead trout we're after look a lot like salmon. They're actually a large version of the rainbow trout that's found in many small streams throughout North America. Now, the steelhead strain migrates to open water, the Great Lakes, where they eat like salmon, they grow large, sometimes over 20 pounds, then they go back to the rivers each year to spawn. This is when the anglers like to go after them, because in the rivers they really fight. Oftentimes you'll see them leap completely out of the water, and every now and then you'll get one that does that several times. That's a thrill. But no matter how they battle, you can count on a knockdown drag-out that'll really keep you busy. And now's the time to think about steelhead fishing. March and April are the months when the biggest runs come in to spawn, and all the major rivers that feed into the Great Lakes attract steelhead trout at this time of year, and steelhead fishermen.
Fella.
All right. All right.
That's how it's done. You can fish the drop-back method from a small boat with an outboard motor. You just need a good anchor, a few deep-running lures, a whole pot of Emil's fish chowder, and some of Emil Dean's luck for a great day of steelheading in Michigan outdoors.
Audrey Robinson from Westland sent us a recipe that I'm kind of embarrassed to take a picture of it. It looks like a mistake. And when you look at the list of ingredients, it looks like an experiment.
There's a lot of ingredients to this. Got cream of mushroom soup, sauerkraut. Yeah, like I say, a lot of them. Got celery, green pepper, onion. I mean, you know, it sounds like a stew almost at this point.
Can't wait to see what's next. Oh,
Caraway seed, cayenne pepper. And that's going to go into your basic, and you got potatoes. You can put this on potatoes. That's going to be your basic sauce.
So those ingredients right there, what was mixed up?
That's right.
That sauerkraut and
exactly.
that business?
Okay, instead of greasing your pan, you want to spray it with your Pam. And then you're going to put a layer of potatoes and then a layer of the sauce that we just mixed up. Another layer of potatoes. You want to make 2 layers of both of these.
Folks, we are going to get to the fish.
Eventually. You put this in the microwave for 15 minutes. And that's to cook your potatoes and your sauerkraut thoroughly before you make your fish balls. Good. Eggs. This almost sounds like a meatloaf. Paprika, breadcrumbs, oatmeal.
I can't even, this is too much.
Yes.
Audrey, you've outdone yourself here.
And got some minced onion and canned salmon. And this
Or
is
steelhead.
Or lake trout, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is salmon. And you're going to drain it thoroughly and then rinse it because you don't want the grease in there. You're going to mix this into this second batch of ingredients and make little balls out of this.
I tell you, I just don't know what to say.
While
here.
you're mixing that up, your potatoes and sauerkraut should be done. And they should be fork tender at this point.
There's a lot of people that say, yes, they're done, throw them out. I mean,
Well, sauerkraut. You want to go ahead and make your balls and put this on top of the potatoes, and then back into the microwave because you want your fish to cook, the balls to cook here. Now, she says also that you could just layer it on there, just, you know, spread it around, but she prefers the balls.
Oh, now cheese? Now cheese.
And then when it comes back out of the microwave, put a layer of cheese on top.
And there it is. I just don't know what to say. But you know, folks, I am totally flabbergasted by this recipe because it tastes great. It's incredible.
Oh, it is.
It's okay. The best way to explain it's a Cracker Jack recipe. Okay, you know, like a box of Cracker Jacks where you like the little caramel corns on top, the salmon and stuff. That was really good. But the surprise is in the bottom.
It is.
The sauerkraut and potatoes mixed together with those ingredients
soup.
are phenomenal. You could eat that with ground beef, anything
Oh,
on top.
absolutely.
I didn't know when I started I was eating oatmeal and all these other things.
It's Cracker Jack recipe, Freddie.
And these fish balls don't taste fishy.
Oh,
they don't
not
taste
at
like
all.
tuna or salmon.
Not at all.
They're delicate. They're great.
Oh, they are.
It's something. It is an absolutely unbelievable recipe that I would recommend you try it just for laughs. If nothing else, you'll be totally surprised.
It's weird.
Audrey Robinson from Westland sent us this salmon delight, Audrey salmon delight, and it is totally delightful. Stay tuned. We have a lot more Michigan Outdoors coming up, but we're going to break for a few minutes, and I hope you use it to make a call and help support your local PBS station. It's a year-round home of Michigan Outdoors. We'll be right back.
Great horned owls will prey on ruffed grouse, but very rarely do they kill a male drumming on his log. What protects the male when he is making a noise that a human can hear a quarter of a mile away? The grouse drums at a very low frequency, 40 cycles per second, which is below the owl's hearing range of 7,000 to 60 cycles per second.
Some of the biggest fish listed in our trophy book were not caught on purpose, like this channel catfish. It's a monster that hit a lure, something catfish occasionally do, but not too often.
Bob Fabian from Warren was trolling a Hottentot, North Lake, Alcona County, fishing for walleye.
No, bass.
Bass. Fishing for bass, you got an 18-pound, 11-ounce channel cat.
We had 6-pound test line. My nephew Tim was going out for his first try at fishing. I wanted him to catch something, so I thought I'd fool around. And I thought I got a snag, and all of a sudden the snag pulled a 1,300-pound boat about a quarter mile up the lake. Took about 25 minutes. We got him in. My son netted him, and just as we got him in the boat, he fell off.
Well, that must have been quite something for your son's first fishing experience.
My nephew's first.
Your nephew's first fishing experience.
He won't fish with me anymore. The same day I got a 32-inch pike, and he says, "Uncle Bob, you get too many."
Too many? It's kind of frightening fish to somebody who hadn't seen him before.
Sure is.
Congratulations on that. That's an 18-pound, 11-ounce largest channel cat that we have here recorded tonight.
Our Stroh's Trophy Book for 1987 lists only one channel cat that was larger, a 22-pounder caught by a catfish fisherman. But this big cat looks impressive in the picture and is plenty large enough to make Bob Fabian our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Angler of the Week. Laws relating to wildlife draw more questions than anything else in our mailbag. Denise Baxter from Columbiaville wrote and said, "On your show, you said it was now legal to have certain animals mounted, such as owls, if you hit them with your car. Now, I've always wanted a mounted owl. Now, I may never get one, but I'd like more information on this matter." Well, Denise, Bob Garner reported on this show that taxidermists were trying to get an amendment to the Endangered Species Act to allow road-killed animals to be mounted. The Audubon Society campaigned against the amendment, and it never passed. So hawks, owls, and eagles cannot be owned, live or mounted, except with difficult-to-obtain permits. Now, we do have permits for quite a few of these at the Hunting and Fishing Museum in Houghton Lake. They're for educational display, and for right now, that's the only way the law allows these beautiful creatures to be owned or exhibited.
In just a moment, call your local PBS station and make a pledge so you can automatically become an Outdoors Club member. Now, you're going to be helping to keep hunting and fishing on prime time Thursday nights on PBS. Plus, you'll be able to enjoy some great Michigan Outdoors premiums. We'll tell you all about it in just a moment, so stay tuned.